Once he gets out his first Reaver, he's probably going to try to ferry most of his troops into that main. There is still a dark area where Fantasy does not have vision behind his main, so ferrying the entire troop there would actually be probably beneficial if he can do it without Fantasy knowing about it. Of course, the more buildings Fantasy builds there, the more vision he's going to have, so that will be more and more difficult as this game goes on. But okay, the Observer sneaking in to the main. He's going to be able to see the Fantasy looking around, laying mines. It looks like Fantasy knows what's coming, and he probably sees the little glitch on the map, noting the Observer cloaked. But okay, Fantasy, here comes the first Reaver going to come up. Probe being picked up, actually, so it looks like Brave is going to take that base down at the 5 o'clock position. The little island expo. I think that is the island. There's a sunken expo and a island expo, and that is the island expansion. He's going to drop a probe there and take that base. A little bit risky, I think, and considering drop strategies are so powerful in this map. I think we can safely expect that from Fantasy. But with Fantasy, I guess you should expect the unexpected. You never know what that crazy coot's going to go for. But okay, the Reaver crawling. I guess he's going to try to crawl to the other main across that ravine. That didn't work, so obviously picked up by the shuttle. Let's see what damage the shuttle can do. There are so many tanks in here, and Fantasy is usually so quick about getting his micro going to surround that Reaver, make it so there's nowhere for the Reaver to drop. Let's see how quickly he reacts to this shuttle coming into his base right now. The shuttle kind of skirting around the main at the moment. I think it was spotted. I think the shuttle just now got spotted by Fantasy Vultures going out into the middle of the map. Yeah, that was spotted by Fantasy. Let's see how he reacts to that. He builds one turret behind his natural expansion. He's probably going to position some siege tanks back there at just the right. Well, he's getting surround on the Dragoons, but that's not going to be too effective, I think. And I think the Brave is actually trying to do a complete wall off of that huge area right next to the 8 o'clock position. He already has a wall off right next to his natural expansion, but it's going to be much more difficult to do down at the 5 o'clock, but it looks like he is attempting to do that anyway. Hey, need pylons, might as well build them in a straight line to wall off against Vulture harass. Okay, doing a little bit of mine clearing out there. And yep, complete wall with pylons down here. Might be one of the longest pylon walls I've seen in a while. Okay, still not committing with that Reaver just yet. Looks like he's a little bit afraid to do that because he knows how many tanks are in there. Because I think he has an observer still floating around the main. Yeah, he does have an observer in the main, and probably the natural expansion too. I see a red dot there too. Fantasy trying to sneak in, not doing a very good job. He runs into the huge pylon wall. So he's just going to dash around, try to find the opportunity to sneak by these Dragoons. It's going to get more difficult as the game goes on. But Fantasy floating up to the 2 o'clock position. He's going to take that soon. He has a sizable force, a lot of tanks out. But this is spotted by Brave, so he's going to probably follow that troop with an observer. Getting difficult to say, but yeah, he's going to follow that, try to get a nice pincer attack out there. That was a little bit too close for comfort. He got really close to a mine there before sniping it, but I think he was paying attention at the time. He's out there with his Reaver too, so Fantasy I think should be a little bit more careful. He might not want to push just yet. He might want to play defensively, defend that new base that's floating over to the 2 o'clock. If he tries to push out now, he's just going to get surrounded, and that Reaver is going to come into play, and this could get ugly for Fantasy. But look at the tanks nicely spread out from him. And Brave is pushing right now. He's pushing against what Fantasy has. Oh, the Reaver almost goes down. Fantasy was focusing everything on that Reaver. And let's see if these Vultures can hold this. Look at these tanks so nicely positioned. It's going to be difficult. Fantasy still keeping an eye on the Vultures, I think, and he fights Brave back. That was a huge force from Brave. I'm not sure how he fought that back, but Brave, I think he kept his distance a little bit too far away from the tanks. I don't think he knew how many tanks were in the back, and that just ripped up his forces. Oh, when the pylons goes down, the wall is incomplete. And now he's got to deal with Fantasy's mines and Vulture control again, which is nightmarish. But okay, more mines being laid by Fantasy, and he's just keeping the mining from happening down at the 8 o'clock position now. Okay, dragging even more mines. The poor Zealots. But still a nice wall at the natural expansion. At least Fantasy's not going to sneak into the main anytime soon with those vultures, even though I think he's probably going to try to do an attempted run soon enough. Oh, man, the mines. Oh, what? Fantasy gets by. Oh, that's horrible for Brave. Fantasy sneaks in. Only a couple vultures, and they are very badly damaged, but that was ridiculous. He had that completely blocked earlier. I'm not sure why he shifted his Dragoons away, but just enough space for Fantasy to sneak in with his vultures. That is silly. So silly. Losing a lot of probes needlessly now. And it looks like the vulture finally goes down. These vultures going to take out the Nexus. What? I think the vultures are going to take down this Nexus. Brave still not focusing on the vulture. Oh, hero vulture. Is that a hero vulture or what? Taking down the Nexus before it dies. One vulture. Excellent. That was pretty awesome. But now Fantasy is going to try to sneak into the natural again with a huge line of vultures. Ah, little terrorist you. And Brave has still not completed his wall yet again, so he's going to have to deal with even more vultures harassing that 8 o'clock expansion soon. Here comes a huge line of Dragoons, but no Zealots in there at all. Oh, Fantasy's going to have a field day in here if Brave can't get rid of these vultures. He's losing all of his Dragoons to mines. And these vultures are going to be so annoying if you can't get rid of them. He's going for a counterattack, actually. Not sure if this is the best idea in the world. He does have an awful lot of Dragoons. No Zealots whatsoever to break the front, though. So these Dragoons are just going to pop like water balloons if he can't get in close enough. He's got to get up close and personal with these tanks, which is basically doing. But there's still tanks in the back. Oh, man, the Observer going down, so you got limited vision back here. There's still tanks coming in. Reinforcement tanks, I think, are going to clean this up. Oh, Fantasy defending with minimal troops. He didn't need a whole lot of tanks to defend that at all. That's the GG. Brave completely outclassed in this series, I have to say. And Fantasy played great. Great play from Fantasy, Hero Vultures, Rainer Vultures. But good to see Fantasy back into the round of 16. Well, this has been Nuke. Going to be moving on to another series soon enough.